I'm Jennette McCurdy, and this is my last meal.
Every person has exactly two things in common. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. Today's guest is an author whose first book spent more than 80 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list, and her highly anticipated debut novel, Half His Age, is out now. For those of you who don't know how to read, well, you might recognize her as the face of the Great Depression at the happiest place on earth. Jennette McCurdy, welcome to the show.
That was the best intro. It was so good.
Thank you so much. We'll get to the book later, but we have to talk about 10-year-old me learning about the California mission system in school, taking an educational field trip to California Adventure, and watching Golden Dreams.
No. Oh my God. My starring role.
Your starring role. There's Whoopi Goldberg talking about John Steinbeck, and then boom, you escaping the Dust Bowl.
Yes. I was a background actor on that, and they put all this like gunk on my teeth to make them look rotting.
Gross.
It was very gross. It was very uncomfortable. I just kept telling Mom, I was like, I just want to brush my teeth. And then the girl that they had sort of doing the role that I was doing, which was a featured extra, because you're on camera for more than 0.1 seconds, she like wasn't doing what they wanted her to do, which was to look sad. And so the director was like, what child looks sad? That one. And pointed to me and brought me forward, and I just did my thing. I was myself, looking like a sad child.
Truly, your most honest role was in California Dreams.
Honestly, proud to be in maybe least loved Disneyland park, just because it's a Disneyland park and I'm a Disney adult, so why not?
Hey, that had a great 8-year run. Did you ever go back and like rewatch that as an adult and go, why would I spend time here at Disneyland?
No, my mom forced me and my brothers to go in every time. She'd be like, we gotta watch Jennette. She'd go in with her like 14 Disneyland bags like on her shoulders. And we'd all just be like, I don't wanna watch that. Like, why is this here? Please let us ride something fun for once. After she died, I just avoided it. It might have been gone by then. I actually don't even know.
2008 was the last time that it ran.
Okay, she died after that.
Well, hey.
It worked out.
It worked out. Life really does work out, doesn't it? Thank you so much for being here. I'm super stoked.
Well, I love this show, and I'm such a fan and excited to be here.
Thank you. Well, I imagine that you've thought about your last meal before then.
I have a lot.
Do you remember the first time you thought about it? Is this like a lifelong, you've had the list going for forever, or this was just for the show?
Honestly, I actively avoided it. I didn't want to think about death or what my last meal would look like until your show. And then I started thinking about it. Well, everybody else is thinking of it. I might as well too.
Do you think there's kind of a power in that? Like there's an empathy in that, or simply a lemming effect of everybody's doing it, so I should?
So this is sort of related, but I was a big fan of Mark Maron's podcast. And he always talked about reading Denial of Death. And so I tried to read Denial of Death when I was like 18, and that, of course, did not work out. I couldn't get through it. But there was something in the idea that I couldn't even read a book called Denial of Death, and I thought, wow, I'm really avoiding something here. So it's kind of, I think there's something empowering about considering death in certain ways and thinking, how do I want to live my life, and how do I want to eat my last meal?
Yeah, it seems like something that you don't shy away from, especially in Half His Age. Like there's some deeper existential thoughts, albeit coming from an 18-year-old protagonist.
Yeah.
But it seems like something you don't shy away from particularly.
I think there's a lot to be gleaned from the things that we may regret later in life. I think of this every year. We're recording this sort of in the new year, so it's actually good timing because it's fresh on my mind. But in the closing weeks of the previous year and in the initial weeks of the present year, I like to think about rocking chair regrets and what I might regret as I'm dying. And that's truly a great way of saying, am I living my life on the path that I want to be living it on? Am I living with the values that I want to be living my life with? Am I doing the things that I would be doing if I really, really knew every day this is it, and I wasn't just acting like, oh, it goes on forever and it's infinity, whatever. I find it really, really useful.
Rocking chair regrets. With
Rocking
Jennette
chair
McCurdy,
regrets. There you go.
Filling the Mark Maron-sized hole in the podcast universe.
We all need it. We all need it filled.
You ready to eat?
Yeah, let's eat.
All right, Jennette, for the first course of your final meal, we have the pot stickers, the venti matcha latte, seared yellowtail belly sushi, and extra black vinegar sauce.
I was not expecting everyone to just fly in like that.
They kind of
incredible.
Hide like ninjas, like the Michelin star servers that wear the goatskin slippers so you can't hear them. That's them.
They were literally turned, and then they all like synchronized swimmers just all at once. That was incredible.
I was wondering if you even saw them.
There has to be like a behind-the-scenes feature of that. That was
We gotta just
beautiful.
put GoPros on everybody. I'm stoked. Where do we start on this?
Okay. Oh my God. Yes, the black vinegar sauce.
You seemed very concerned about the black vinegar sauce. How much
deeply
difficulty have you had?
I have had so much difficulty. Literally every time I Uber Eats these frequently, and every single time I call them and I go, hey, can you make sure you have the black vinegar sauce? And they go, yep, we'll throw it in. I go, no, not any of the sauces you naturally throw in. This is a black vinegar sauce that you have to manually do off to the side. You have to pump it. You are on the same page about someone. They go, yeah. Every time they forget, and they send like a molasses sauce of some kind and a sweet chili sauce. They're fine, but the black vinegar sauce makes these babies. It's got to be the black vinegar.
This is the pot sticker sauce too. Like this is what you're supposed to dip dumplings in.
Yes.
Also, these look incredible. We got them just about 10 minutes ago. They arrived. We thought they'd be late, but this is like a local valley spot that's originally from Taiwan.
Yes.
That I've never been to before. So this is a new experience for me.
I'm very excited for you to experience this. Are you honest with if you like things or don't? Like you'll say?
Yeah, sometimes I think I'm too honest, and sometimes I'm like, I just told a guest that their mom's pork tenderloin with blue cheese sauce was like bad. And I felt, and it obviously like meant a lot to the guest and their mom. And I was like, why are you doing this? Just be agreeable. Would you prefer if I was agreeable or honest?
I would by far prefer if you're honest. I so respect it in a person is even when it's maybe especially when it's uncomfortable to be on the receiving end of it. You just know where you stand.
Yeah.
You can, I feel like that's how trust is sort of gained if somebody's being honest when it's uncomfortable.
I agree with that. I promise you I'll be honest.
Okay. I love it so much.
No, I feel extra pressure to try it.
I feel you feeling it. I feel you feeling it.
These are spectacular. These are like maybe my new favorite dumplings that aren't like a soup dumpling.
Yes, yeah, they're so good.
I love the way that you write about food, both in I'm Glad My Mom Died and in Half His Age.
Thank you.
And my single favorite scene in the entire book involves these guys right here. Because so many people romanticize food as being about comfort, safety, and joy, but food is whatever we imbue into it. Food can also be anxiety, it can be mania, it can be terror. And there's a scene where Waldo, the protagonist, is sitting in her car eating honey mustard kettle chips, which is the greatest chip of all time in my opinion.
Thank you for agreeing.
But the way that she's like manically clawing at the crumbs as she's crescendoing in this anxiety, but also trying to power trip on what she can possibly hold over somebody. Was there any real life experience that inspired that scene?
Okay, there's a lot I want to cover here. I'm so glad that you bring this up specifically, just sort of the theme of food. I think I'll always write about food and body in one way or another. I had eating disorders for a large portion of my life. I've been eating disorder free proudly for years at this point.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. And now I find so much joy in food that it's sad to me that there were so many years where I did find it was the place, the vessel for my anxiety, for my shame, for my regret.
Yeah.
But I think there's something really interesting in that and in writing about that. I think that food is such a clear way to just get right to the heart of a character. How a character eats says so much about them because it's the thing that we all do, that we all have to do. And there's no hiding from it. There's no way of, there are a lot of, we can hide from socializing, we can hide from a lot, but we can't hide from eating.
Yeah.
And so I think eating really shows you who a character is. And I think that scene where Waldo's eating these so desperately communicates so much about who she is. I have certainly desperately eaten chips many times in my life. If that's what you're asking, and honey Dijon particularly, but now I eat them happily and proudly and with joy.
Please, happily eat chips. Well, I didn't mean to just turn the bag towards me, but that was my own dependency on the chips coming to play right there.
I felt it coming through.
The way you write though, it's interesting because I understand the irony of me using an SAT word to describe this. It's like, it's vivid, but it's not florid. Like it's very descriptive.
Thank you.
But there's also something that's very matter of fact about it, almost as if you're merely reporting the facts that are there. Was that something that's very intentional, or was it the natural style that just emanated from you?
I so appreciate you saying that. I really appreciate and respect writing that is, at certain points, distanced and a little bit detached and just really plainly stated. I don't need somebody to tell me how to feel. I want to feel.
Yeah.
And I think that comes through most when there's not any sort of finger wagging or overly flowery writing. I really appreciate writers who are to the point and blunt and they just plainly state things. I don't know if you've read Flesh, but that's a recent book that I've really, really loved for that reason. And Ham on Rye is another one of my favorites that I really love for that reason. It's sort of naturally how I write as well. I don't think, I have this rule where I say I'm not a big words writer. I'm not a big words person. I came from my family, nobody in my family had ever been to college. I didn't go to college. I'm not going to sit here pretending to know words that I don't or using words in my books that I don't use in real life.
It's funny because if you view your job as a writer as sort of like to communicate in the best way possible to the most amount of people,
Yeah.
there is something very democratizing about that, as opposed to using big words that I don't know, it feels very selfish in a way. And I'm putting this lens on me, especially if you look at anything I wrote when I was younger. It is just so overly written that I can barely even like stomach it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you write a lot for fun, or was it?
I used to. So I wrote my first book that was half cookbook, half memoir when I was like 23, which is a great.
What a cool hook.
Yeah, it was something. But I think I remember the first sentence. We worshipped our grill like a deity that summer. Immediately could have said God. It was our 60,000 BTU Aztec sun god that bled propane into the sky for 12 hours a day.
Speaking of honesty, I'd be out. I'd be like, I can't read. This is my.
Yeah, it was me just going, I'm so smart, I'm so clever, look at me.
It's so funny you say this because so often with books that are, I mean, I could certainly appreciate a beautiful flowery sentence, but there are so many times when I'll read a book and my first instinct is to touch the author on the shoulder and go, you're enough. You're enough.
What we all want. Right? We all just want to know that we're enough and we're okay.
The more often that somebody can feel like they're enough in their work when possible, I think it's really, I think it's a helpful thing.
To have the amount of confidence as a first-time author with your memoir to write with that amount of like brevity and sheer truthfulness, where did you find that? Did this go through multiple revisions?
I'm a big reviser. There are plotters and there are pantsers in the writing world, and I'm certainly a pantser. My first drafts, I literally call them the vomit draft, where I have to just get it out, and it's super fast. It's very emotionally charged. And then there's this quote I love that says, "How will I know what I think until I see what I say?" That describes my writing style, where I then look over everything and I literally grab a highlighter and I highlight what I think it was that I was trying to say, what I think it was that I was trying to communicate, and then I keep drafting until I think it's clear. And the story's where it needs to be, and the characters where they need to be, and it's usually many, many drafts. But I'm glad I think it was like a dozen, and for half his age, it was closer to 20 drafts.
Are these tracked in a Google Doc somewhere? Or,
yeah.
I pictured you on a typewriter.
No, I work in a Google Doc, which is like very, maybe I shouldn't even say that out loud for the publishing world. I'm so sorry to my editor, Jesse. I'm sorry for the pain I put you through. Typically, writers work on in Word. That's like the standard, but I can't figure out the formatting. I'm really bad at technology. I know it's not like cute to say that. We're past the point where you can say that and it's like, oh, yeah, charming. Yeah. Like I know we're way past that, but I am bad at it. Yeah, that's just how it is. Yeah.
Tell me about the venti matcha latte with 5 pumps of classic syrup.
I've actually been off of caffeine for a few months now, but if I really need a pick-me-up, I'll go for this. But this is something that I drank a ton while I was writing Half His Age. And then they changed the recipe at some point when I was writing. And so I got it one day, as per usual, and took a sip and wanted to spit it out, and it was terrible and it wasn't sweet and it was not what it used to be. I went on Reddit, as one does. I found out that they switched their recipe to, initially they'd included the sweetener. They stopped including the sweetener. And nobody could tell me how to get it to taste the way that it used to. And then randomly, sharing a vulnerable fact here, I went to Epic Universe. And I ordered an iced matcha latte, and they were like, "You want it sweet, right?" And I was like, "Sure, why not? Like, let's try that." And it came, and it was exactly the way that it used to taste. And I said, "What did you do? This is the old recipe. You guys changed it. Tell me how you made it taste like the old recipe." They said, "It's 5 pumps of classic. You're welcome." And we never spoke again.
Sometimes you have to travel all the way to Florida, to a different universe, in fact, to find the thing that brings you comfort and joy. Well, hey, cheers. I have no context for any of that. I've never had one of these. I'm so excited.
Have you not?
An intern had to take me to get my first matcha. I've had like traditional ceremonial matcha, ceremonies.
Okay, big words.
Okay, they call it that on the packaging. I'm not just that guy, I love Japan. Have you been? You have to go to Japan. I can recommend you some good animals.
I was in Japan on a solo trip when I was 24 when I first knew that I was going to write Half His Age, and then it just took years for it to come back around. It's my favorite place I've ever been. I think it's so beautiful. You've been
I've literally never been. No, I know. I was kind of doing a bit of the classic.
Oh, great.
White dude explaining to how much she would love art from a different country.
Well, isn't it great that I didn't pick up on it? Even better. Yeah. Really helping our cause,
I think
ladies.
This is going on. Hey, speaking of Japan, we got sushi. So we have some sliced yellowtail belly that we quickly torched with a blowtorch just to get a little bit of sear on there, and then some wasabi, soy, and ginger.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Do you go chopsticks or hands with sushi?
Chopsticks. Do you do hands?
Yes.
Oh, are we supposed to do hands?
I think demystifying sushi is something, please pause. Demystifying sushi is something that's really important to me.
Yeah.
You can do either. So many people are like, you have to dip it fish side down in the soy and flip it, yada yada. I think eat it any way you want to.
Okay, I may have to use hands here. Covering for the knees.
That's great. Look, no, don't look at her. Look at me.
Half the page is a very sexual book, so that's the last thing I need on top of it.
Whose mouth and fingers are those?
Some random person. Not me. My attorney was like, Jennette, is that you? I was like, no, don't worry, Maddie.
How did you go about writing the sex scenes? Because they are written in the same style as the way that you describe everything else. But was that like very deliberate to kind of like take the emotion out of it or get people to imprint their own emotions onto it?
It's an addiction novel. It's a portrayal of a young woman struggling with a lot of complex emotions. It's a psychological examination of her, but certainly wouldn't say in any way it's a romance novel, despite there being a lot of sex. But yeah, I felt it was very important to write sex in the same way that I write other things. I don't appreciate or relate to much of sex writing. The kind where it's like, you know, the quivering hands and he touched the small of my waist and I felt the heat. Like there's always this heat coming from places. I don't know what we're talking. I mean, I know what we're talking about, but I don't relate to the way that we're talking about it. And so I wanted to write in that same way that's sort of, that feels true to me, which is in that blunt, direct, plain way. And also not flowery and not overly sexualizing sex. I think sex can be really gross. I think it can be disgusting. I think it can be uncomfortable and it can be hot. And I think it's all of those things sometimes at the same time. And so I try to do that.
I think so many people essentialize, like we talked about with food. Food is comfort, food is love. It's like, I don't know, food can be a lot of different things. Ditto with sex. Sex can be an exercise in love or it can be an exercise in power.
100%.
And I think you do a great job of really trying to get to the heart of why do people do things that they know are going to make them feel bad. It's just like the fundamental paradox of existing. I'm curious if you're worried about people misinterpreting that, because you know your first book sold several million copies. This is certainly going to sell a hell of a lot of copies. You're going to get a lot of people who might not be the target demo that are going to understand it in the way that you want or in good faith, insofar as there is a way that you want it to be understood. Are you worried about it being misunderstood?
No, I do. I find misreads quite funny. I remember there was a misread on I'm glad that the person tagged me in, and it was like a new mom. And there's this way that I end the book where I'm like reflecting on my relationship with my mom, and that I'm saying, you know, of course moms are everything. They're on this pedestal. You know, of course we can't say a bad word about them. And typically I don't write with sarcasm, but there's a bit of sarcasm there for sure. And she screenshotted that and she was like, I'm a new mother and I've been struggling and I needed to hear this, that moms can do no wrong, that we're perfect in every way. Yes. And I was like, honey, you got it wrong. You got it way wrong. Look at the fucking title, or sorry, look at the title. I kind of expect that. I expect some people to read it and be like, love the student-teacher relationship, and that person is just, I don't know what they're doing. They're sorely mistaken.
Listen, I read the book and all that I got was, I need to get a Clockwork Orange poster stat. You'll find out. Ready to go to course number 2?
Please don't. Yes, I'm ready for course number 2.
Jennette, for the second course of your final meal, we have the panino agli affettati misti from DeLuca's Deli. We have the sour cream and onion french fries, and then we have the Coke Icy. Wow. Did they scare you this time?
It was beautiful. Beautiful as ever. Amazing work, everybody. They're giving the thumbs up.
Where do we start here?
I think we got to start with the fries.
We got to start.
They're steaming.
They really are. But all of this white dust is sort of collecting the steam.
Yes.
And forming a cake on this. This is fantastic.
The white dust is key. The amount of dusting is key. Can you see this? I don't ever appreciate an under season. I want all of the seasoning on whatever I get, whether it's a pretzel or a fry or anything in between.
Everything else is just a vessel for the seasoning. This seasoning is
intense, right?
I told you I'd be honest. This is crazy. This is forsaking God. And I don't know that I'm a believer, but in nature, no food was supposed to taste like this.
Agreed.
And then undercover fries, which is now the potato corner at the Glendale Galleria. Or no, the Americana?
Americana. Used to live there, so I know.
That's right. Wow, this is something.
It's gonna go down worse. Like, you're gonna feel it. But it's worth it to me to just have it. Well, I'm not gonna finish that sentence. I was gonna say, well, I won't say it. But it's worth it.
I'm curious, you can whisper it or write it down.
I was gonna say it's worth it to have it in my mouth for even a second, and then I realized how that sounded, so I was trying to edit, but then I didn't, so
Listen,
there it is.
I'm staring at the cover of this book, you know what I mean?
It's great to have it in my mouth.
You referenced buying, well, Waldo, the protagonist, who surely has nothing to do with you on account of that's the fictional character and you're the author.
Of course.
References buying sour cream and onion powder that was discontinued in one of her manic shopping binges.
If you're asking, I may or may not have a package of sour cream, a 16-ounce package of sour cream and onion seasoning in my cupboard at this very moment, sitting waiting for me to sprinkle it over my super soft pretzels in the freezer.
That's incredible.
The sour cream and onion seasoning from Auntie Anne's was the greatest thing of all time. I loved it. I had those pretzels all the time growing up. And then they discontinued it and my heart broke. And so I searched online to find the right sour cream and onion seasoning that best emulated the Auntie Anne's one. And this one from Amazon was it.
There's something about people who grew up on processed food, and I am very much one of those. Like, to me, Olive Garden was the fanciest restaurant that I'd been to by the time I was, a fully adult man.
Same.
You develop a different palate from a young age. To where I'm joking about this feeling ancestrally wrong, but no, this is delicious. There are some people, like my wife didn't grow up eating fast food, but she's like, this isn't food. This doesn't taste like food. And I'm like, like feeding a hummingbird nectar.
Yeah, I so agree. There's something where it speaks to me, it speaks to my soul. And anybody who grew up healthy does not relate at all. But I feel the same way about the Coke Icy, which we have here.
This is surely natural and organic, however. Literally, you took the soda that used to have cocaine in it, and then you said, how can we process this just a little bit further?
So I get one of these every single time I go to the theater. Like, this is my thing, this is my guilty pleasure. Growing up, we could never afford theater snacks. We could only go to the theater because my grandma actually worked at a drive-in theater for 25 years. So she got free sign-ins to Pacific theaters for her life. But she would sign us all in, and we could not afford any sort of movie theater snacks. And so I always thought, God, I just want an icy. And when I first started making money, I started getting my ices, and it's never stopped, and I love them very much, and I think it's one of the greatest tasting things in the world.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I just want to savor this.
Do you start with the really soda-y part at the bottom?
I start with the soda-y part at the bottom, but then I gradually pull up. So
let me do it too.
You reference ices in both your books.
Do I? And I'm glad. I didn't know. I know I did in half his age.
And I'm glad you get a Coke Icy from Burger King. That is while your mom was in the hospital after the most frightening day of your life, when your mom was having a seizure in your arms. I have a fair amount of traumas with food memories very specifically associated with them. I can't see. I'm glad it's not a popular food, but chicken white bean chili.
Say more.
My dad was in a coma for about a week before he ultimately passed, and we would be eating at the hospital cafeteria. And when I get really stressed, I try and control the things in my life that I can. And for me, never really manifested in like an eating disorder. I use quotes because I think you could look at a lot of tendencies and maybe diagnose something. But for me, it was more like orthorexia, exercise bulimia type of stuff. But I was also a scholarship athlete at the time, so I was like, this is good. And so I was just trying to find the most protein-ridden, healthy thing in a hospital cafeteria. And so I would eat quarts of chicken white bean chili. And then I would go binge work out at a 24-hour fitness till 3 in the morning while listening to heavy metal. But literally the thought of eating a chicken white bean chili like physically raises my adrenaline levels.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you have that with a Coke Icy, or has that just been lost like tears in the rain?
It does. There's something about just knowing that I'm going to the theater where I honestly get more excited for the Icy than the movie. Like, it doesn't even matter what we're seeing. It certainly has a long-lasting effect, because it goes from when I first know we're going to see the movie, and then, of course the Coke effects don't wean off until several hours. So it's I find it very helpful. I find it great. But so you don't go anywhere near the chili anymore?
I couldn't possibly do it, no.
I actually wanted to ask you about this because both of your parents are deceased. Is that right? Okay. It came up in an episode where you'd mentioned that both of your parents had passed, and then it was just not discussed. And I'm like, I was like waiting for it. And I thought, the episode we're not talking about is both of his parents died. What's happening? I have to know what you're willing to share about that. To have both your parents gone, and
one of the reasons I really gravitated towards I'm glad my mom died is because I read the title and I went, same dog, But my mom, the last time I saw her was when I was 14 and estranged for about 10 years, and then got an email that she had passed away.
Wow.
That she took her own life. I knew she was homeless, living on the streets. Believe she suffered from schizophrenia. Got a random email from like the Virginia sheriff's. No, it was from her biological brother who lived in Australia that I'd met once when I was 4. Wow. And the sheriff's office contacted him, and that was sort of it. But then my dad, who I lived with for a lot of my life, that passed away when I was 19, went in for not a routine surgery, but not like a super high risk surgery, and just never made it out.
So it was a shock.
It was a huge shock, my dad, yeah.
Oh my God. How was the processing then of that? I mean, I imagine the processing of both were so different. So wait, so you were 24 when your mom passed.
But I hadn't seen her in 10 years. So for me, I don't know that I've ever properly grieved.
Yeah.
My way of dealing with it was control. Just control. I need to make it. I have nobody on my side. You are on an island, and if you don't work and if you don't grind, and you are now solely your accomplishments.
Wow.
And solely something that you can point to and hold on to. And this is just an empty husk.
Oh,
did you deal with something similar?
Yes, I relate so much. I'm getting a little emotional. I'm breathing through it, but I completely relate. I think it's so great that you said that. When you lose the person that you love so much, when you lose the person that's that largely informs your identity, you're clawing for something and you're desperate you're desperate for them, right? But instead it sort of manifests as this deep control. Of course, for me, it was, eating disorders and a number of other kind of habits, but it sounds very similar.
Yeah, it's similar, but it looks very different.
Yes,
especially on a gendered spectrum, it gets treated very differently.
Yes.
It's so funny. I really resonated with a part in I'm Glad My Mom Died, where you talk about seeing the number on a scale and how it was so much easier to put your whole identity into that number than to think about everything else, to think about your emotions, your traumas, your relationships. My identity is this number, and this is insane. My number was how far I could throw a 16-pound metal ball. Literally after my dad died, you have a personal best in the sport that I devoted my entire life to.
Yes.
And I was like, if this number goes higher, then I'm fine, and everything else can take a back seat to that.
Black and white thinking can be so much simpler, so much cleaner, I think, especially for people like you and I who tend to really have high standards and want to accomplish things. And it's just, well, this makes sense, so I'm going to go for this, because life is, unfortunately and fortunately, I think, a gray area. It is all gray areas. There are some things that are black and white, but few things that are black and white, I think. How did you overcome the sort of eating issues or body issues?
This is the crazy thing. I got happier. There were more sources of joy and safety in my life. And I feel really bad because if anybody ever asks me for advice, I'm just like, well, I got a job that paid me more and I felt good about my future and that I have purpose in what I do. And I met a romantic partner who loves me dearly and unconditionally, despite me kicking and thrashing against it all the time.
Oh my God.
Also
relate.
And now I don't need that sense of control or cheap temporary pleasures like I used to, because I feel simply comfortable.
Wow.
When was the first time that you felt that comfort?
I don't think comfort came for a long time, but some form of strength and power came in eating disorder recovery for me. I did see a therapist who really specialized in that, and he was so helpful. He had me do things that I didn't expect would be a part of recovery, including finding value in the eating disorder, which I thought, well, I'm trying to get over the eating disorder. Why am I sitting here writing a list of all the ways it helps me? That sounds counterproductive. Yeah. But in fact, it was very productive, because he said you need to figure out exactly what value it's delivering in order to be able to replace it with something of equal or stronger value. It was so helpful. But figuring out what my values are that I want to live by was so transformative for me, and then living in accordance with those values, as opposed to, I'm very goal driven by nature. Yep. So sort of putting goals to the side for a moment, and instead just saying, what are my values? And if I'm living every day, living every choice as often as I can by these values, then that's going to give me that sense of purpose that you spoke about. So I would say ultimately it was values and purpose that helped me to kind of find that strength and power. And then eventually I think the comfort came with my partner of 9 years, who it's the ultimate comfort. It's the ultimate source of love for me. And it has been hugely helpful. But I don't think I would have found him had I not initially really been working on myself and my healing. I think it wouldn't have been a fit.
Would you describe your relationship as independent, codependent? Because that was always the thing that I struggled with, was this person can be my sense of safety and only sense of safety, and if they ever go anywhere, then I'm right back to where I was when I was a kid, and that's a bad place.
Yeah, I do grapple with that. One of my biggest fears would be us not being together, and then I try to just check that. But I think I would say, he's my rock and I'm my rock.
Yeah.
I got two rocks. We're golden. But I would say we're independent, but then I certainly have very codependent tendencies.
Sure.
And that's something that I've worked on, and I've actively worked on in therapy throughout the course of the relationship, because I do want to cultivate my own independence, and it's something that actually really matters to me. I think my nature's probably more independent, actually, and my upbringing was certainly more codependent. So I have that wiring that just needed some unwiring. And I would say now I'm at a what feels like a healthy, independent place.
This therapist that you were seeing, he's also the one that convinced you to sell your house in Studio City. That was causing you a ton of problems, and then you moved above a deli. What a segue.
I did. I moved to the Americana at Brand, which is, for any LA local knows, this is the shopping mall that blares Frank Sinatra music whenever you're shopping. Or if you live there, all hours of the day.
Yes.
So literally 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. it'd be like, fly me to the moon. And I'd just be sleeping like, God, please stop, Frank. Like by day 3, I was going, what have I done? And then I wound up living there for like 4 years because this was truly like my recovery time and when I really just needed to be focusing on myself and living a healthy life. And so environment really didn't matter at that point. Frank was helpful. So was there for a while, but the biggest takeaway that I got from my time living there was this puppy right here. The Agliapatati Misty from, I think it's called DeLuca's Deli. It used to be called Dean and DeLuca's.
I think it's called DeLuca's Deli. I think Dean and DeLuca's has officially gone out of business, but somebody must have saved DeLuca's.
Thank God.
Both of these foods have changed names, but kept the same foods they used to have.
And both are at the Americana at Brand, so we see a theme here.
Incredible. I'm just afraid if you ever hear Frank Sinatra, it's going to be like a Russian sleeper agent, and you're just going to either start crying or go into a type of hypermania.
Okay, here we go.
There's a purple I wasn't expecting.
I don't know what the purple is. I've tried to figure it out. You tell me if you know.
The purple appears to be... Wait a tick. No, I thought it was a cabbage, but there's almost no texture to it.
You barely notice it, but the flavor's great.
The flavor's great.
It's that like surprise. This would be a different sandwich if it didn't have the purple.
Agreed entirely.
And I like are these, I don't know what the proper name is, but banana peppers?
Banana peppers. And you are a fan of banana peppers.
Yes, love them.
You write very interestingly about banana peppers.
Why do you know more about my food writing than I do?
You know what it actually is?
What?
Every time there's a food reference in anything, it is the thing that I naturally gravitate towards and remember.
Wow.
I can tell you that Waldo makes herself an omelet with banana peppers in it.
That's right.
After sex, and it's kind of a first time that she's like eating something that isn't just a packaged food, and it seems like a metaphor for some sort of like self-esteem and actual look towards sustenance.
Spot on.
You know?
Yeah.
You ever actually put banana peppers in an omelet? That's crazy.
I have. I've put banana peppers on a lot. I love banana peppers, and the new thing is tamed jalapeno peppers. So I would do banana peppers because I wanted something tamer than a jalapeno pepper, and then I found that you could find a tamed jalapeno pepper. Do you know this?
No.
It has changed my life.
Ready to move on to the third course?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Jennette, for the third course of your final meal, we have the udon noodles in a creamy broth and a Robex evergreen juice. We're seeing some themes develop in giant cups of green liquid.
I'm a beverage lady. I love a good beverage. Honestly, that was something that I didn't realize until brainstorming, which I did for this. I have a full note in my notes folder of like the kills and the things that almost made the cut that didn't quite make the cut. And there were a lot of beverages on that. I was like, okay, there's way too many. I could just have a last meal of all of the beverages that I love. I've got to limit this a little bit.
Wait, I don't think I've had a Robex juice. This was something that like I remember going to as a kid. Orange County is the land of chains. So at any point there was a Juice It Up or a Jamba Juice or a Robex.
Yes.
On any corner, but Robex won out for you.
Yeah, Robex won out. I love their evergreen. Jamba used to do green juices, and they no longer do. They just do smoothies. So
You know, they have officially taken juice out of the name.
Have they?
It used to be called Jamba Juice. It is now just Jamba.
Well, at least they changed the name. It would be quite misleading if they kept the juice and then just didn't offer juices. How rude. But I appreciate the name change in that case. Okay.
Go ahead.
Here's a story, because this is not
Please.
supposed to be like tasty or good.
No, it's a green juice.
Right, it's a green juice.
Yeah.
When I lived at the mall, I had them literally every day because I could just walk to the green juice place in the mall. And to me, it's like girl math, but it's like girl eating, non-eating disordered girl eating.
Yeah.
Thank God. Where I will think that an evergreen juice like balances out whatever I've had. So literally, if I have like the potato corner, now known as undercover fries, I'll have those, and then I'll get a green juice to balance it out, and I'll go, I'm good.
I don't even think that's girl math, or you can probably link to disordered eating, of course, but I think that is actually how it works.
Okay,
And the
great.
way I've heard it phrased is like, be additive about your diet, not subtractive.
Yes.
Right, so it's like, if you want a grilled cheese for dinner, eat a grilled cheese, have a salad too to get some freaking micronutrients that you know are good for you.
Totally.
Put some protein on that, etc. This is just additive to the fries.
Yes, completely. Also, I love these. I do love these despite their taste because I think that feeling of like, oh, this is good for me. This is my health. This is great.
Yeah.
And it is something that Jamie, the eating disorder therapist, had mentioned. He said balance is everything, and a big key in recovery was neutralizing food. So there's no good foods, there's no bad foods. I had so much judgment around different foods, and a cookie is a bad food and a piece of broccoli is a good food. And he clearly did a good job of cutting that away for me, and I did as well, because I view these two things with just as much joy and pleasure.
That's an interesting taste.
Together, it's very
That's an interesting taste. They need to make the grass-flavored Coke, I see.
It's not as bad as I thought, honestly, mixing the two.
You directed a really fantastic short film, wrote and directed a really fantastic short film about disordered eating, starring my favorite comedian of all time and friend of the show, Maria Bamford.
Love Maria so much. She's amazing.
Strong Independent Women. Is that something that you'd ever want to turn into a feature? I mean, it's only 8 minutes. It is like really very visually arresting, tremendous storytelling. I'm a huge fan of it.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That's so nice. I actually hadn't had any plans or thoughts to turn that into a feature. I hadn't built it out in any way. I'm trying to think if I've done that with any of my existing shorts. I don't think I have, but I have plenty of feature scripts that I want to build out. And actually, Half His Age is something that I adapted into a screenplay this past year with the intention of directing it. So I can't wait to see that come to life at some point. It's very early stages, but I think it'll make a really great transition to screen.
If Maria Bamford is not cast in that movie, I'm going to refuse to see it.
She'll be Waldo. I'll cast her as a 17-year-old.
Tell me about the udon noodles. This is something.
Something.
This is a bowl of food.
This is a bowl of food.
This is a bowl of food.
What were you
that
expecting?
Exists.
What were you expecting? Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
So we have taken some pork tonkotsu broth, and then we actually cut it with a little bit of heavy cream and butter sort of emulsified in there, and then some al dente cooked udon noodles. This is kind of giving like fettuccine Alfredo vibes, but in a beautiful way.
I saw that.
Is this what you imagined on your last meal?
Really, it's just I love udon noodles, but I don't like all the fixins, and I love a creamier broth as opposed to just the kind of runny like bone broth. Whatever
kind of a long simmered stock.
I probably should have included a link of some kind to some reference point. My apologies.
No, we kind of like the artistic
amazing.
challenge. I'm really
great.
stoked on this.
I think there was a question for clarity, and I was like, how do I clarify?
I think all we said was any toppings. You went, nope.
This is very much a cross between fettuccine and like a classic udon noodle, right?
I'm having the best time. There's a way that udon noodles really fill your mouth.
Yes.
In like a pleasant way that no other noodle does. Food is sexual. Get over it. We all gotta eat. We all gotta. That's the name of the show. That's what we've been talking about for years. That is just a metaphor for it all.
So I first took a solo trip to Japan, I mentioned, when I was 24. And that's when I really first started, honestly, trying Japanese food. I, of course, tried sushi beforehand, but got my hands on some good udon and ramen. The food was amazing. It's some of my favorite food, and udon just, you mentioned comfort earlier, and food potentially being a vessel for comfort, as well as a vessel for other things. This is my vessel for comfort, for sure.
It's interesting not having grown up with any like traditional comfort foods outside of fast food.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, why you reference so many brands in your writing, which I can really identify with. The Mormons, of which you grew up as a second-rate Mormon, you would say.
Yes.
They have a very unique style of cuisine.
Oh, yeah.
Did you grow up eating any of the classics like Hawaiian haystacks, funeral potatoes, lime jello salad?
I remember all of these, but it's been a minute since last time I was in church I was 18. I guess 21, my mom's funeral was at the church. But
wow.
Yeah, what are the haystack one? What is that?
It's some
coconut?
Very holy combination. It's coconut, there's pineapple, but it's also condensed cream of mushroom soup with chicken on rice.
Oh.
And then there's crunchy chow mein sticks on top. That's the haystacks.
I remember a lot of chow mein sticks being, like that was their go-to topping.
Yeah.
Even when it'd be like a bean dip and they'd be like, chow mein sticks.
Uh-huh.
It's like, okay guys, we can use some editorial skills here, but Mrs. Smith loved that. Sister Smith, sorry.
I feel like people who grew up Mormon, they either bought in really, really hard,
yes,
or they rebelled against it super, super hard and want nothing to do with organized religion. Mm-hmm. Is that where you're at now in terms of like spirituality and religion? I
rebelled against it super hard after my mom died, and just really blamed it for a lot. There's so much guilt in the LDS culture, the Latter-day Saints culture, that I felt, and I even as a young person had confused. You're gifted the Holy Ghost when you're 8 years old. I had OCD. I confused my OCD with the Holy Ghost. So I thought the thing telling me to touch my underwear 10 times and spin around 5 times, and I was a lot of like ritualistic behaviors, was the Holy Ghost. I'd be like, oh my God, the Holy Ghost, or oh my gosh, sorry. The Holy Ghost is telling me to do this thing so I can book this role, so I can save my family. Honey, that's mental illness. That is not the Holy Ghost.
And I like how you still corrected "oh my God" to "oh my gosh," just in case the mental illness that you're talking to gets offended by that.
Of course.
Like, but that kind of
You've got
speaks to the power of like,
Yes.
you know, what we all sort of like believe very, very strongly.
Yes. So I really rebelled at that point, and then now I think, you know, organized religion works for some people. I think it can be useful for some people. It certainly does not work for me. I would consider myself like vaguely spiritual. I'm not rubbing crystals, but I am aware that I'm not, you know, that the universe is bigger than me, and there's a lot out there, and there's a lot that leaves me in awe and with a sense of wonder. How about you?
I remember my high school girlfriend, I called her a f***ing idiot for believing that Jesus Christ was the Messiah, because I was very scared in my own life, and that was my way of saying, no, I'm right, because if I'm not right, then I have nothing else. At least you have Jesus, and I have a mentally ill mom and an absent dad. And so I hurt a lot of people by being that rage-filled edgelord when I was a kid, and then now, as I've gotten older, you see things in a more bird's eye view, and I think you just sort of soften all your beliefs because you realize how difficult it is to traverse this thing called life. But have you noticed your rage softening over the years? Because rage is a huge theme in this book, but also...
No, I've still got plenty of rage.
Yeah, you had more. You gotta get it out though, you know?
I do. I actually think, I'm glad rage is coming up, because I think anger is such a useful mobilizing emotion. I'm curious your relationship to it as a straight white man, right? Because mine as a straight white woman is that we're told to not have it. I think all women are told to be polite, to be agreeable, so that you can get further. Don't speak up, don't be difficult. And I think that's all bullshit. I am exhausted by all that. I literally feel it in my body as I'm saying it. I start to get a little tingly. I feel the rage getting activated. It's like grateful that I'm addressing it.
You get exhausted from suppressing the rage.
From suppressing the rage. So much of my life growing up was suppression between the Mormon church and between surrendering my own needs and desires for my mom. So I really did not have access to my rage, my resentment, my guilt, all of those quote unquote negative emotions, right? I was allowed to be happy, I was allowed to be grateful, but everything else, sadness, you know, really was off the table. So I was feeling those things but suppressing them and didn't come to terms with them or start unpacking them or start having a healthy relationship to them until after my mother's death. And that's when I really started meeting my anger face to face and figuring out, okay, what can I do with this anger, and finding healthy ways of channeling it. The biggest one being for me, writing. I write with a lot of rage. I think it's the emotion that I write the best from, the most effectively from. And I think it's my rage tells me what I have to say. It's the thing that I'm, okay, if I'm feeling rage about this thing, we gotta go there. We have to explore this, because any other emotion is just less mobilizing. I feel there's less to say, there's less to process through it, and writing for me there's so much processing in it. So I love my rage. I feel less of it towards certain things, and of course it's still there toward other things, and I'm always working through it, and it's always welcome in my life.
Yeah. Flip it, and that's me.
Really?
As like a straight white dude, especially like a kind of like taller person who grew up playing sports, so people assume I have some sort of authority. My rage was rewarded. I was about to say like my authority. No, that's what we bullshit colloquialize rage into, right? And so I learned how to like weaponize that rage.
Yes.
Only to like get what I wanted, or frankly to get what other people wanted. Because I was like, I know that I'm like 6'2", 200 pounds. I can walk into my boss that's 15 years older than me, and I can kind of puff in my chest and go, we need to do this now. And he'd go, okay, you know, and then I like slunk away and be like, oh, thank God, that was exhausting. And so for me, having vulnerability never be rewarded, but having rage always be rewarded, that rage exhausts me now.
Wow.
When I write, the truth that comes out is just sad, because that rage was just masking some sort of sadness the entire time. And I think there's a vulnerability in having that power when you don't want it.
That is so fascinating. I've never heard that articulated before. It's surprising. I'm kind of speechless.
I mean, do you think rage is just a function of powerlessness? It seems like when you're writing and there's this kind of little bubble of rage, it's always associated with some sort of feeling of powerlessness.
I think absolutely it's a feeling of powerless. I think for women, it's largely having your boundaries violated over and over and over and over and over again, and not having the language or tools to advocate for yourself while those boundaries are being violated, not having the societal messaging to be able to feel like you can advocate for yourself. And then eventually that's compounded year after year after year after year, and the rage starts to bubble up and starts to spill out because it can't stay suppressed forever. It's like shaking a soda can. Yeah. Eventually, it's going to start to explode.
Or just turns into an ulcer immediately and starts bleeding in your insides.
One of the two.
Yeah.
And so then it starts coming out in surprising places, or maybe not so surprising places, but then I think those are the moments when it's okay, it's time to come to terms with it. It's time to try to explore it in healthier ways, because when it comes out in unintended ways, that's when it can become scary and toxic.
And I'm glad my mom died, you said that the first time you ever felt power was when you wrote a screenplay called Henry Road.
Yeah.
Gave it to your mom. Do you remember that feeling vividly of writing that when you were a kid?
I remember it well. It really did feel like freedom, which I still feel with writing. Oftentimes for my first few drafts, then it really becomes work. Then, of course, there is no inner critic. I was 10 and I was just playing and writing, and it was that complete feeling of freedom. And it was the story of a little boy with a single dad, with a neighbor who was a little girl with a single mother, and surprise, they put their parents together, and it works. And it ends with the dance sequence at Universal Studios. I was like, that'd be fun. They're like dancing in front of E.T. Woo!
I still think that's fun. I think that's awesome. Make it.
Okay, that'll be my first
Put it on
feature. That'll be the
Kickstarter.
debut.
I got $50 on it. Let's do it.
Oh my God. You write though? Do you still write since you don't?
I burnt myself out so hard. I was an editor at a magazine, and I had a content quota, so I'd be writing, 4 or 5 pieces a week, whatever, while editing other people. I was freelancing a weekly column for somebody else. I think it was Maxim. I was trying to get as many bylines as possible. So I was just killing myself trying to do this. And then I got a cookbook deal, and I didn't take any time off of work. Most people take book leave if they're a journalist and want to write something.
I'm shocked.
And instead, I ended up basically procrastinating the entire time that they gave me to write the manuscript. And basically, I had a 50,000 word manuscript due with 2 weeks on the clock. And so I ended up staying up for 5 straight days on a cocktail of study drugs, and then having a catatonic meltdown in a Starbucks.
As one does.
As one does. But as far as writing for fun, I don't think I can touch it.
You don't think you can?
I'd love
you
to
just
get
don't
to that
want
point.
to, or you? Okay,
But
so you want to at some point, but what would it take
100%.
to get there? Do you think? What would have to change?
It's funny because my initial response would be like, well, I'm very busy here, and I'm busy with my relationships, and then I have my hobbies, and I like going to the gym.
Oh, please. The busy excuse, I feel like, especially LA culture, it loves to say, oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. I'm sorry. I think the busy sort of headline is such an excuse. I wish we could get over it. And I feel like it's so reinforced in LA because that's the thing. Everyone wants to be busy. Why are we so proud of being busy? We're more proud of being busy than having a life. Sorry, again. We're so proud of being busy that we don't have a life.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Life is beautiful and wonderful, and it ought to be lived, not just spending it being busy. Hustle culture. It's ridiculous. Okay, I'm done. I'll step down.
Well, now I just want to write. Hear me out. Can I use the title, I'm happy my mom passed away?
Yes. Go for it.
Or we can just do I'm glad my mom died too.
I'll be the
Electric
first reader.
Boogaloo. There's a breakdancing sequence at the end. Jennette, for the final course of your final meal on Earth, you got a root beer float.
She's beautiful.
She's wonderful. This is Barks root beer with some hand-dipped by Tony's Hands vanilla ice cream inside of there with the long spoon to dig at your leisure.
Thank you, Tony.
You're the man, Tony.
We got a thumbs up.
What is the proper strategy on eating or drinking a root beer float?
I would say you got to sip the root beer first. Get kind of as much clean root beer as you can at the bottom. Okay. And then you scoop the ice cream, you do it separate, and then you do it together sort of at the midpoint right there. I don't know why, it's like a quality check. No, it's so good.
Why a root beer float on the last meal? What connection do you have with it?
Growing up, I did have root beer floats. They're a big thing actually in Mormon culture because a lot of Mormons don't drink. They don't drink beverages with caffeine.
This is the OG dirty soda. I never thought about that.
There you go.
Oh my god.
And it has to be barked root beer because sometimes people, if you go to a restaurant and they have a root beer float on the menu, it's always like some artisanal, handcrafted bullshit. And I don't want to go anywhere near that. I want my root beer white trashy as I once was.
You're adapting I'm Glad My Mom Died into a show. You're executive producing it.
Yes.
On Apple Plus. Does any part of you worry about losing that control of your own narrative? Because like you talk about the power of writing and how much control you feel. Now you got a whole company involved.
Beautiful question. I'm executive producing, showrunning, creating, writing all 10 episodes. That sounds like a lot of control, right? Less so than you think in the TV world. The TV world there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and it's been tricky. I won't lie, it's been very tricky to navigate because it's my life story, and it's something that I wrote as a piece of art. I think in the memoir, and I think I did so very well. I really understand the story. I think with a subjective viewpoint and understand what makes it entertaining. I also think it's a really specific tone, and it's a tone that's easy to make melodramatic, and it's a tone that's easy to make flippant. And I desperately do not want it to be either of those things.
What were your goals for I'm Glad My Mom Died, and then how has that affected your goals for Half His Age?
Oh my God, I'm directing Half His Age for sure, and it's a film.
Yeah.
I'm not doing TV again. I think there is a much more productive way of doing things, which to me is what I've encountered in the literary space, where you've got your editor, you've got your publisher, and everybody's sort of on board about what something is or isn't from the get-go, and there's no games involved. There's just transparency. To me, it seems like a much healthier system. I'm sure there are dark aspects to the literary space and the publishing world, but I've found it to be one that operates from a place of being very above board and being very transparent, and I've had a really lovely experience in that world. I'm very grateful for it.
You've tried on a lot of different identities. You had Jennette McCurdy, the daughter, that was certainly a heavy identity for a long time. The actor, the country singer. How does Jennette McCurdy, novelist, sit with you?
It sounds wonderful, it sounds lovely, but values has been a theme here, and I try to operate from a place of values as opposed to any sort of career identifier or relationship identifier or anything. And it's tricky, being somebody who puts so much of my worth in my work. It sounds great. I love how that sounds, but I try actively to go, okay, I really care about growth. I care about creativity. I care about authenticity. How can I live my life by these values? And God, I'm sorry, it's making me emotional. You know what, I want to apologize. It's making me emotional, but it's really important to me to live by those values, so I try to do that.
Yeah. What are those core values that you really hold dear? Like when you were on that rocking chair?
Growth, creativity, authenticity, honesty. Those four. That has led me. Those have been my North Star. And I know if I'm misaligned, if I'm feeling off, if I'm feeling really frustrated with my life, I'm going, okay, something's not happening here. What is it? Am I not being creative enough? Am I not growing and stretching myself enough? Am I not being authentic with people? Am I not leading with honesty and trying to play the game, or am I trying that? Because if I'm doing that, it's just not going to work. I think life, for me, my experience of it has only worked when I've lived in accordance with those values. And anytime things start to veer off, it's because I'm not living by those.
Yeah. There's kind of a theme in Half His Age of expectations,
yes,
which I've always found really fascinating. It's always been a great way for me to protect myself, to just have low expectations from those around me and, frankly, from myself and my own accomplishments.
It sounds like you have such high ones with you mentioned the control and after your father died and, exhaustive sort of exercise. But so you think sometimes you have...
I think it's the high ones are in response to me naturally having low ones. It's an overcompensating kind of situation.
A pendulum.
Like a shoot for the stars but land on Jupiter or whatever kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But how have your expectations for your own life changed since you were young?
Well, since I was very young, I sort of stifled them, right? And then in my 20s, post my mom dying, I quit acting and I wanted to write, and I was writing full time despite being paid nothing for it, and my writing, nobody wanting to open documents that I sent, and just not making any headway whatsoever, and thinking, did I make the worst decision? Was this stupid? Why did I think I could do this? And then eventually making headway, and now way exceeding my wildest expectations. I'm so grateful to be able to do what I do. I'm so honored to do it. I feel much freer than I ever expected. I think if little me, 8-year-old me were sitting here right now, she'd just be in awe and so excited and just so happy. So I'm happy for her. I mean, there was a time in my 20s when I just said, I just hope I can be, a staff writer. And now, of course, I'm show running and have exceeded that. And when I just thought, how can I get a book deal? Is there any way? And just, it's wild to see now what I have. And I would never change specifically writing books and the career that I have there. I would not change a thing. But I do have moments where I realize my goalposts move, and I don't think there's any way of winning that. So if you have tips or info, let me know.
I was hoping you had tips and info on how. I think the Buddhists kind of figured out a lot: attachment, root suffering, all that stuff.
They did, yeah.
Do we become monks? What do we do?
I think that's the path.
Probably, yeah. Well, from like a much younger age than I did, like you grew up completely surrounded by the idea of death. From your mom having metastatic breast cancer. What do you think happens when you die, and how is that affected from a very young age?
I don't know. I'm only thinking of what supposedly Steve Jobs said, where he was just like, "It's beautiful, it's beautiful." I think I'm probably misquoting.
He said that like on his deathbed?
Yeah.
Whoa.
He said something. Somebody can probably fact check.
Did he do a lot of hallucinogens? He was like an early ayahuasca guy, right?
Was he?
Was he? Someone should fact check that before you defame the Steve Jobs estate.
I know he was a fruitarian.
He was a fruitarian?
We're getting it all wrong. I'm quite sure he only ate apples for a month. But no, and you hear these stories of people saying like, "Oh, it's glorious, it's beautiful." I have no idea. I hope it's something like being on MDMA. I think that'd be great. I think that'd be like, I'd be cool with staying in that state forever.
We grew up in like the golden age of EDM music too. So like for us, we just hear Clarity starts playing. I'm in.
Oh God, I hope not.
You ready to get in the lightning round?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Unless, Annalise, if there's anything you want us to go back to.
You said, oh wow, which is similar, and I don't have something on ayahuasca, so I feel like you just described it.
Wait, Steve Jobs said, oh wow.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Or did he say, oh ow, oh ow? Where's the spacing in the W's? Jennette, who's the one person dead or alive you'd want to share your actual last meal with?
I mean, my partner. Of course, there's nobody else. It'd be horrific and complicated, but that'd be the only person I'd want to share it with, I think.
What song do you want to be played at your funeral?
We gotta go. The only thing coming to mind is Wind Beneath My Wings, which is what my mom played, and it was, in retrospect, hilarious.
Who plays Waldo and Mr. Corgi in the Half His Age movie?
I have spoken to a few actors already who were incredible, so I literally probably can't or shouldn't say that. In terms of Mr. Corgi, there are some ideas that I have. One person who I love, who I'm obsessed with, is John Gallagher Jr.
I'm going to show you the guy. I don't know if you do this when you're reading a book. This is a terrible lightning round, but this is a thunder round. It's slow rolling. But I don't know if you do this thing where you read a book and you kind of like, you imagine a new person that you've never seen before, but then you realize it's actually just a character actor from a show.
Yeah.
But then you really think about it and you look in your mind's eye and you go, oh no, it's the guy from Gen V, the Boys spinoff, who's been in a couple other things that you like.
I was going to say, it's Patrick Wilson, but I feel like he's surpassed character actor, right?
I was about to say Patrick.
Really?
I cycled through Patrick Wilson.
He was an
Mr.
option?
Corgi. He was literally an option, and then I chose the guy from Gen V. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. I'll bring him up.
Okay, I'm obsessed with Patrick Wilson. I think he's amazing too. He was in Little Children, which I feel like there's some thematic overlap. I love Tom Perrotta. I'm trying to think. I feel like I have a better answer for the funeral song, and I can't think of one.
Fly me.
Yes! That's the funeral song! Oh, thank you.
But kind of with like a David Lynch filter on it.
That's brilliant.
Who's your dream eulogizer at your funeral?
Jack Nicholson. I don't have a better idea.
What's the most underrated ride at Disneyland?
Haunted Mansion. Just like the regular, not Nightmare Before Christmas overlay. Oh no, actually Pirates of the Caribbean is the more underrated because it's always got a 5-minute line, and I know it's partially because of the loading system, but I think it's amazing. You feel me nerding out. Disney question, I'm going to have 14 answers for you. Brace yourself.
Anything related to Disney or theme parks in general, I get tremendous anxiety around.
Great.
I see the families and I get all of their anxiety. I see the dad trying to hold the marriage together. I see the kids who can't appreciate everything. 24-year-old adult person in a goofy costume just trying to get a paycheck. I see the hopes and dreams of the singles with the Mickey ears, and I can't do it.
This is a kind of what makes it so magical. I mean, I definitely have the child. I'm able to kind of access my inner child when I go to Disney, so it's amazing. But I also have that to the point that I have a secret Instagram account called Forlorn Disney, where I take pictures of sad people or people like having a meltdown or kids crying or dads looking unhappy, and I throw a bright filter on all of them, and I post them to that secret account. I think it's private. Maybe it's not. check it out.
What's your biggest fear?
Not a fan of flying in airplanes. It's gotten worse recently. And failure, it's boring, but it's true.
What's your greatest regret in life?
Wasting so much time on an eating disorder.
Finally, Jennette, are you happy?
Every day I experience a lot of joy, and I also experience a lot of all the emotions. I always say if emotions are on a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know what a 5 looks like, or anything under, or frankly a 6 or a 7, or really an 8. I just know the 9s and 10s. So at times it's really fun being me. It's a blast. At times it's not. That's the most honest answer I can give you. How about you?
I kind of like the idea of the adjusted Jennette McCurdy bell curve of happiness, you know? It's like, what if we just shifted the ranking system to the right a little bit? That way everybody in the class can get an A or a B, and I'm going to get a good ratemyprofessor.com. I like that idea.
Great.
I think I'm happy.
Good. Simple.
And I'm especially happy that I got to drink all these wonderful beverages with you.
Yeah, we have a beautiful sort of
Melange.
arrangement here. Yeah.
Truly, I'm such a big fan. Half His Age was such an incredible read. And again, you had me hooked from the first paragraph of I'm Glad My Mom Died. And it's really awesome to see you out here writing such beautiful work.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here. This was an amazing conversation. And this exceeded my expectations, which were already very high. Speaking earlier of expectations, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, if you want to deliver your last words to that camera, right there.
Really?
Brevity, truthfulness. Everyone check out Half His Age wherever you get books, and go to Disney's California Adventure. You got anything else to plug?
We're good.
Last Meals is now available on Peacock. Start streaming today.